Hi, I'm Gabriel. My family have been manufacturing, designing and selling stoves for 3 generations. And this channel has 2 sides, stove reviews and information, and mini films about influential people whose success story might inspire you. Check them out and leave me a comment. You could also like and subscribe to see more. The purpose of bricks is a couple of things. The main one, actually, is about efficiency of the stove. If you insulate the inside of the stove, you can get the inside much hotter, you can burn much cleaner, and you can also, because they're refractory brick linings, drive more heat into the room. The other sort of afterthought is about protecting the stove, protecting the metal, which, as I say, is less important. It's more about getting the heat from the stove and the efficiency. But bricks will slowly corrode and break and will need replacing. So when do you have to do it? This brick here is a brick that's in need of replacement. It being broken isn't really a problem. It's more that we have slowly corroded it down to half the thickness of what it used to be. And that means that it's starting to not do its job properly. And also, with it being broken, that can be annoying if it's falling down. This brick here is another one where we've got it really corroded, sort of half the thickness of it is corroded away. So it is reaching that point where it needs replacing. And once they get to this point and they start breaking, they'll almost start crumbling apart, and this is a good time to replace the brick. As you can see here, we've got a break, we've got a bit of corrosion, but this is perfectly serviceable. There's nothing wrong with this brick at all. If it worried you, the fact that it looked like that, you could even turn it around and it looks almost new. The only time you would need to replace a brick like this is if it was the one in the roof of the stove. Not all stoves have a brick in the roof, but obviously if you've broken that with a log, then it's going to drop down, and obviously you can't use the stove or get really any efficiency out of it without this baffle brick being in place. So it would definitely need replacing regardless of its condition if it was in the top. But any other place, as long as it's not falling down and driving you mad, this is a perfectly serviceable brick. And believe it or not, a brick can break like this after 5 minutes of use. They have no warranty. They're consumable parts because they simply break when they get a bump. In terms of how you replace them, some stoves will have shaped bricks that are sort of curved or rounded, and in those situations the only answer is to buy the brick from the manufacturer, and it will come pre-made and pre-shaped. All of these bricks, as you noticed, are all just flat pieces, and if your stove has flat pieces of brick in them, then you can buy the brick material in sheet form. This is called vermiculite board, and any good stove shop will stock vermiculite board. And of course, the lovely thing about this is we take our brick that is very much in need of replacement, we put it into the corner and we can draw around it. And if you don't, if the brick that you've got has crumbled and fallen apart, then maybe you can't draw around it. But a quick phone call to the manufacturer and they will be able to tell you the sizes. Often the sizes and dimensions of their bricks are on their website anyway. Once you've drawn your shape, as I have, very simple rectangle, you can chop it with a bog standard wood saw, and I tend to suggest get an old one, get a blunt rubbish one, because you'll go through it like butter. It's really easy to work with. but it will blunt a new saw. So yeah, don't go out and buy a new saw, whatever you do. Right, so we've cut our brick out, but you may have noticed that this brick has a bit of shaping at the back, where obviously part of the stove sort of is looping out. So where we've got this, if you've got clever saws and things, I'm sure you'll be able to cut at an angle, or if you're better than me with a hand saw, you may be able to just cut that angle. But I prefer, just because I'm perhaps taking the easy road, I will tidy my brick up. If I've cut it slightly too big, I'll do it with sandpaper, because this is so soft, so easy to work. That little chamfer there, 10 seconds of sanding and I'm already creating that chamfer. So if I do it a little bit more, we should have it the right shape.
Yeah.
Right. We now have these things, as I say, they're more about efficiency than trying to protect it. So people are often worried about gaps between them. Don't worry about that at all. They are just a crude barrier between the side of the stove and the fire. But as you can see, we've now created a pretty good copy, and that's more than good enough to go straight into the stove, and you can use it straight away.